Fix that clock.
5 minutes.
I'm gonna fix it, all right, it's gonna go straight.
Okay, it is 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance. Well, good evening and welcome to the September regular meeting of the Greencastle School Board. First item on the agenda tonight is adjustments to the agenda. Mr. Givney.
Yep, I don't have any adjustments to the agenda for this month.
Okay, makes that easy. Next item is public comments regarding tonight's agenda items. Does anyone have any comments tonight? Okay, hearing none. Are we missing? Oh, no, excuse me. Next item, recognitions. Mr. Givney.
Yep, Mr. McHugh.
Come right over that.
I'd like to introduce you to Henry Hubbard. Henry is a second grader in Ms.
Hi,
Wood's
Henry.
class. And just what you see there with the greeting, I can tell you that I've not had a student who has been nominated by so many people for Student of the Month. Ms. Wood writes, Henry is an absolute delight to have in our classroom. He greets all of his teachers with the polite words and smiles. He also demonstrates a true heart of gold with his manners and general interest in others. He is a hardworking student who is a friend to all. Henry exemplifies a great Student of the Month for Deer Meadow. He has an ability that adults can learn from. When he says good morning in the morning and how are you, he stops and listens. And then he asks follow-up questions. He has a great interest in people, loves school, is a hard worker, and we're proud to have him as our August Student of the Month, Henry Hubbard.
And since we're just kind of getting back into the swing of things with Students of the Month, after we recognize each Student of the Month, we have the Greencastle photo backdrop set up down the hall, so we can take pictures in front of that, and then you're welcome to come back in and join us, or if you need to get your student home, we also understand that as well. Mr. Roberts?
Well, hello, good evening. I'd like to introduce everyone to Eden Little, a kindergarten student from Ridpath. And I'm going to read what her teacher, Mrs. Harvey, wrote about her. I am nominating Eden Little this month because she has shown respect, responsibility, and grit. Eden is respectful to her peers and all adults in the building by following rules and listening well. Eden has shown responsibility by participating in lessons and being on task at all times. Eden has shown grit throughout these beginning days of school by trying her best and not giving up when she gets frustrated. I know that Eden is going to grow a lot this year since she is such a great student. And one word that stuck out to me there is grit. And I think that's something that we try to instill in all of our students, because whether you're in kindergarten or a grown adult, things are going to get hard, and being able to persevere and do your best even when things are difficult it's a difficult thing to learn. And so we're super proud of Eden for showing that as a kindergartner. So congratulations, Eden.
Mrs. Rhodes?
it is my pleasure to represent TZ by introducing Maite Vasquez. Maite is a third grader. Am I saying your name right? Okay. I always have to ask. Maite is a third grader in Mrs. Schaefer's third grade class. And just to set the stage a little here, Mrs. Schaefer has 2 students that have come to us this year with no English background. One from Mexico and one from Puerto Rico. And we have no one in our building, adult-wise, that speaks Spanish. Thus, because this little girl speaks Spanish and English both wonderfully. And she has not only taken 2 students under her wing and helped them by helping translate and helping them acclimate and learn how to do school in the United States, but she is also teaching our staff some valuable words in Spanish, and also just accepting others from other cultures. So Mrs. Schaefer has written this about Maite. Maite is an amazing student. She is always so kind and sweet. She has been a great help to her teacher this year, eager to assist, translate, help others, and just do whatever she is asked. Everything Maite does is with a smile, and that is a special quality that we all appreciate at TZ. Thank you, Maite, for representing our school, our class, and our whole district. You are a wonderful example of what everyone should strive to be. And that was what Mrs. Schaefer wrote about Maite. So, congratulations.
Mrs. McPherson?
My student of the month was not able to make it tonight. Would you like me to go ahead and read? So our student of the month is 8th grader MJ Cooper. Her 8th grade teachers nominated her for student of the week earlier this year. And they all agreed that MJ is always very engaged in class, is a great communicator, and is a very driven and focused student. They are proud of the way she advocates for herself and always works toward her goals. Okay.
Mr. Rogers?
I'm so excited actually about this. So this is Jeliza McCord. She's a senior for us. If you would have asked me, had she been here when she was a freshman or sophomore, I'd have been like, absolutely not. When she was nominated, I cannot tell you the amount of joy that I had, that Mrs. Goodpaster had, because there's been a lot of times we've worked with you, right? She is a hybrid student for us, and what that means is she does part-time alt-ed for us, and then she does part-time regular school, right? And she's knocking it out of the park. She's an absolute different kid. This is why we will say, sometimes you're like a work of art. Don't judge them until you're finished, and you're going to get finished. Jeliza. Now everybody follow. Come on.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which consists of the meeting minutes of the special meeting of July 11th, 2022, executive session meeting minutes from August 22nd, 2022, and the regular meeting minutes from August 22nd, 2022. Personnel reports, parts 1 and 2, which are posted on the door and the website, and the allowance of claims and financial report. Mrs. Roman.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello.
In your finance packet, you're gonna see 4 payrolls. You've got 2 regular payrolls, and then there's a couple of mini payrolls. Our first payroll date was August 5th, 2022, total payroll of $367,347.85. Did anyone have a question about that payroll at all? Okay, we've got some accounts payable that went along with that, again, for payroll taxes and retirement. For that 8/5 payroll, $112,015.36. Then we turned around the next day and we did a mini payroll. We had somebody that forgot to clock in, so we wanted to make sure that they got paid. Total payroll for that 8/6 payroll, $418, and along with that came just some taxes, $85.05. Then our second regular payroll for August was August 19th. Total payroll, $428,608.81. Again, with our accounts payable for retirement and taxes, $125,9990. And then we had a second mini payroll for someone that we just forgotten payroll, so we wanted to make sure those folks got paid. That payroll was on 8/24. Total payroll, $4,780.43. And then there was some retirement and taxes on that, $1,609.35. Next in your packet, you're gonna see a list of prepays dated 8/1 through 8/31 of 2022. You can see that it's actually a pretty big number for August. We had a payment to Piney Engineering to finish up the HVAC for Deer Meadow and Ridpath. And again, that was paid out of ESSER funds. And you can see that that was $118,177. Of course, with some hot days that we had, the Duke Energy, our electric bill was fairly high for August. So that was a little extensive there. And then, of course, we just have our regular insurance trust payment of $173,8067 for a total prepays for August 2022, $428,428.41. Did anyone have any questions about those prepays? No?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll just go ahead and move on to the claims that are dated for today, September 26th, 2022. If you had a chance to take a look at anything, I'll answer any questions about any claims for this month.
I have one that was more of a curiosity than
Okay.
anything. Voucher number 840,
Okay.
where we paid Greencastle Community Schools $90.
Okay. All right, so this is kind of a bookkeeping thing.
Okay.
So we want to have a paper trail, and basically, we would charge school lunch for some background checks that were done.
Mhm.
So we essentially invoice them, and then they cut a check, and then we deposit it into the correct fund. But we want a nice paper trail there in
Sure.
case we go through audit and they say, hey, what was this all about? And that way we can say, well, this, and this, and we can show the paper trail on it.
I just thought if we could pay ourselves more, that'd be great.
So that's why you'll see over on the memo, SL for school lunch, background check.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions about the claims dated today?
No.
Okay, we've got a total, claims for this, month, $389,757.08. And if you're ready, we can move on to the finance report. Okay, next in your packet, you're gonna see the fund report. Balance at the end of August 2022 in education fund, $3,051,565.05. In operations, end of August 2022, $1,782,107.53. And if you go to the last page, number 5, page 5 at the bottom, balance for all funds is $8,712,189.76. And then next in your packet, you'll see that depository statement for the balances in all banks at the end of August 2022. Your balances are there at the top for each bank. And then we've got our outstanding checks there. You take that outstanding checks from our total balance of all banks, you'll see that the August 2022 fund balance for all banks is $8,712,189.76. And we want that to balance out with our fund report, and luckily it does do that. And then next in your package, you're gonna see some fund transfers for the month of August. We only have the education fund this month, so that's the only thing that you'll have this month. We didn't have anything else we needed to do any transfers for. And then lastly, we've got the expenditures for bond 2022 dated for September 2022. These were all the payments that I've made in September of 2022, I'm sorry. Total for all expenditures dating back to July 2021, our total expenditures to date are $7,413,536.42. And I just wanted to bring to your attention that we're gonna start having some expenditures for bond 2022. So you wanna make sure you're paying attention to the top. I've got this one, the header on it is bond 2021. We'll have one that has bond 2022. So we'll just keep those separated out. That way you can kind of keep a running tally if you're holding onto these board packets and kind of see where we're at each month. So pending any questions, I'd like to recommend for approval.
Okay, great. I don't have any questions.
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as stated.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion, further questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent report. Mr. Givney.
Yep, so just a couple of brief items this month. We have submitted getting ready to certify our ADM count to the state, and we're still working through final cleanup. We expect that number to be between 1725 and 1735. We were 1744 last spring, so it is a slight dip in enrollment, but that, just a reminder, that's one of 2 count days this school year, so there'll be another one in February. And then with the building project, anybody driving past the middle school, you can see that there's a new construction trailer outside the middle school, and the middle school staff has been busy preparing to join the construction world. And so we're working through getting some people moved, relocating the office staff to the northeast corner of the building in a classroom. So working on preparations for that, so that when students come back and staff come back from fall break, we'll expect that building to move forwards with the construction process. And Mrs. McPherson has sent out some information to staff, and has information to share with parents, and just with maps and things of that nature shared on our website. So continue to communicate with that. And then obviously the high school is moving along. You can notice we have some temporary light poles out there. That's to light up our parking lots, because we know that they're dark, and we want people to be able to see before and after school or after events. And they're working on a permanent solution for that. They had to cut the line, cut the wire when they're excavating between the 2 buildings. So we knew that was going to happen, and we'd be without it for a short period of time. But things are moving along on a positive note in that building and that space as well. Kind of expecting potentially some of the first spaces to be turned over to us right around the end of the first semester. So things are moving forwards well there. And then the last item for this month, and actually I see that they're listed at the bottom with the donation to Greencastle Athletics. Endeavor Communications has been, we're very grateful to them. They purchased 2 devices, or 2 cameras. So one's actually hanging on the press box on the turf field, and one is hanging inside McAnally. And the technology that controls it, it's an automatic camera and follows the live action. So football games, soccer games, those are all broadcast live through a YouTube channel. And so the public, grandparents, everybody can watch that, and there's no cost. It's free. And then the same thing, obviously, inside McAnally. So we just want to continue to get the word out on that. That is something that's new. And obviously, we'd like to thank Endeavor for purchasing that equipment and that subscription for us.
Is there a link on the website or anything that can go to that? How does someone find out what that YouTube channel
Yes,
is.
it should be linked. If it's not, we'll double check that, but I know that we shared the link out on our social media pages. And actually, on the social media tabs on our websites, on the high school and middle school, there should be a revised, YouTube channel link to where, we can access that. So we'll make sure that if it's not there, then we'll get that corrected, but
Alright.
wanted to recognize them and get the word out, and hopefully maybe we'll send the information to you as well, Jared. Yep, if you don't mind including that, we'd appreciate it. And that's all I have for this month.
Okay, thanks. Next item on the agenda is old business, and we have no old business. Which brings us to new business, and item A is a public hearing on the 2023 budget, CPF plan, and bus replacement plan. So just like any other public hearing, we open it up for public comment on anyone who wants to make a comment on any of those items. So we will now open the hearing for anyone who wants to make a comment. Okay, hearing none. Hearing is closed. Excuse me. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for Europe's Mediterranean Coast 2024 spring break trip. Mr. Gibney.
Yeah, so as was customary in the past, pre-COVID, we've allowed our student groups to travel internationally, and I was presented with a request from Mr. Rogers and his staff members to take a group of students to Europe's Mediterranean coast in 2024 through a travel group, and certainly they provided information and answered a lot of questions. And before they begin promoting the trip, since it's out of state, because it's overseas, it requires board approval. And so we would like the board to approve of this trip so they can have some parent meetings, communicate with kids and families, and answer any questions. And if any fundraising is needing to be done or any scholarships looked at, kind of begin that process. So wanted to share all that information with you, and certainly anything that we require with board policy is included in your packet. And I know that there were some follow-up questions from some board members that we shared as well. And so it would be my recommendation that the board approve allowing our students and staff members and chaperones to move forward with this trip.
Would anybody like to say anything about the trip? Can you give a general overview of what the trip is?
I actually brought some paperwork with me.
It has a self-explanatory tag. It did, but.
It does. The second thing in this huge little set of stuff is like the overview of the trip and what we'll be visiting, how we get there, where we land, those sorts of things. The one on the top is the packet of information that they give for their parents that has like any financial questions, scholarships they offer. And then the back packet is just extra information on like why travel sort of a thing. So it's coming from the inside, like kids are gonna be filling out that Common App application for college and how this travel experience can really help
Right.
them have something to write about.
And I did see on here board members go for half price, is that right?
Free.
Free, even better. Yeah, right.
No,
I would say she failed to find the humor in that.
I was joking.
but it will be during spring break 2024.
Right.
Sounds like a great
Yeah,
experience.
Very cool.
Sure.
So do you need a motion for them to
Yeah,
move forward?
Yes.
Yes, please.
I will make the motion that we support this trip.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion, any further questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? I'm sorry, Russell has one.
Not, I'm just curious, so 35 students, right?
If we get anything over that, we have to start looking at a second tour bus.
Okay,
And I
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions, discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for a memorandum of uniform conflict of interest disclosure statement for Ed Wilson. Skipped one.
That was a mouthful.
Mr. Gibbon?
Yeah, so this is just an annual thing that Ed's disclosed, as he's a board member and sometimes he does work security for athletic events, and so, he's disclosing this and would like the board to approve this.
I'll make that
Sorry.
motion.
I can't make a motion, I gotta sit here.
We just want to make you sweat a little bit.
Dirty dog.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ed, for
Thank you.
doing the security.
Much appreciated.
Thank you, guys.
Now, an approval request for a memorandum of understanding with Putnam County Health Department for a school liaison, or for school liaison volunteer services.
Yeah, so the Putnam County Health Department has made available a nurse to each of the local school districts on a shared basis. And so as an example, that person might be here, 1 day a week on average. And that's just to help with anything that's needed. Could be helping, just making sure, immunizations are caught up and up to date and parents communicated with. Could be helping to fill in one of our clinics, anything kind of related to that. And so it doesn't cost us anything. And I believe that the health department's using some grant dollars to pay for this, I think for the next 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. And so it would be my recommendation that the board approve this memorandum of understanding, excuse me.
More hands on deck, more professionals, doesn't cost us more, I like that.
I make a motion, we accept.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is an approval request for a school bus purchase resolution.
Yeah, so last month, the board approved the purchase of 8 school buses, and in working on the financing arrangement, they'd like to have a resolution in hand to authorize that. So essentially, that's what this is the board authorizing the financing of the $1,478,000 of which we borrow, and essentially the terms of that. So it would be my recommendation that the board approve this resolution.
So moved. I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the approval request for a student staff technology purchase.
Yeah, so it's that time to replace our desktop computers, so I don't want us to be confused with our student laptops. And so the 2 places, for instance, the middle school and high school Fab Lab, their desktop computers, and then some of our offices and things of that nature. And so Corey secured quotes from the different vendors, and Technology Integration Group was the lowest bid, provided the lowest quote for $96,684.61 to replace those devices, which also includes replacing some of the monitors for that. And so it'd be my recommendation that we move forward with purchasing those devices and those accessories. We won't be financing the purchase. We'll be paying for it. We did look into the cost of leasing that, breaking it up, but was gonna add like $20,000 for a $96,000 purchase, so it didn't make sense. We have the cash on hand, and so we'll use it to replace those devices. And so it'd be my recommendation to the board, approve the purchase.
I will make a motion that we approve the purchase of the computers.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion?
I was just curious, and forgive me if it's a silly question, but ViewSonic monitors, is that the name?
That's a brand.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right, okay.
Yep, so like HP, ViewSonic,
All right.
yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for Greencastle School leased employee agreement with Putnam County Hospital.
Yeah, so through our partnership with the hospital and last year with enacting the telehealth clinics, the hospital has helped us with the cost of some additional nursing staff, and they've been able to, last year they were able to cover that through some grant dollars, but now this is time to formalize our agreement to where we will have some cost for those employees. Essentially, we'll be paying an hourly rate times the number of hours worked, with the hospital picking up some of those benefit costs and things of that nature. And so, if you remember, we used to just have 2 registered nurses and a part-time LPN, and then we switched to this model, and now each of our clinics has some kind of medical professional, some of which are LPN, certified medical assistants, or registered nurses, and then Fawn is our registered nurse, coordinating the 5 buildings and 5 nurses. So it's time to formalize the agreement. I've worked with the hospital on this, and would like to recommend it for approval.
Is this just one that kind of is going to perpetuate year after year? I just noticed what I was looking at, there was no dates on.
Yeah, I believe we'll do it on a year-to-year basis.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're gonna start to bill us monthly,
Okay.
for those people, because, those 3 individuals are not actually Greencastle employees.
Right.
They're Putnam County Hospital employees, so they'll be, billing us each month.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Last item under new business is an approval request for some donations. First, we have an Indiana Association of School Principals to Greencastle High School in the amount of $600. Myers Market to Greencastle High School Athletics in the amount of $1,500. Endeavor to Greencastle High School Athletics in the amount of $8,700. Mary Allison Children's Trust to Ridpath Primary in the amount of $995.37. And McDonald's to Greencastle High School Cross Country Program in the amount of $500.
I make a motion, we happily accept.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone there. Last item on the agenda is other business. Does anyone have any other business?
I don't think so.
Okay, hearing none. Next item is adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, thank you for coming, and careful driving home.